What's up, y'all? My name is JR, and for those of you who don't already know, I'm a huge movie and TV nerd. If you're new here, I appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel. I hope you consider sticking around and joining the film community I'm trying to build here on YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving my reaction and review of the sci-fi action film, Predator: Badlands. And just so you guys know, this video will contain spoilers, so if for some reason you haven't gotten to the theater yet to check this movie out, and you don't want to know anything that happens in it, you might want to exit this video now. And with that being said, no more wasting time. Let's get into it. Predator: Badlands is an American-made science fiction action film directed by Dan Trachtenberg about a young Yausha who, after his brother dies protecting him, travels to a faraway planet in search of the fabled Kalisk, a legendary, unkillable creature, in order to ultimately prove himself worthy of his father's clan. It is the 6th live-action film, 7th overall film, and 9th installment in general in the Predator franchise. And the film stars Elle Fanning and Demetrius Schuster-Koloamtangi. Predator: Badlands had its world premiere at the TCL Chinese Theater on November 3rd of this year and was theatrically released in the United States by 20th Century Studios on November 7th. And to this point, the film has received positive reviews. At the time of the making of this video, the movie has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 159 critic reviews, with its popcorn meter currently sitting at 96% based on over 500 ratings. The film has a Metascore of 71 on Metacritic based on 38 critic reviews with a user score of 5.2 based on just 19 user ratings. And finally, the movie has a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb with just over 3,600 ratings. Now, I went to the theater to see this movie with an unnerving sense of dread, I'll be honest with you guys, mostly because I just knew in my spirit this film was going to ultimately disappoint me. And after having seen the movie in its entirety, I regret to report that I think the film was just that. Just my opinion. But for context, I will also admit to you guys that I have been much more an Alien guy than I have been a Predator guy historically. But I have seen all the Predator movies, and I like most of them, just not as much as I've liked, the Alien movies, generally speaking. Of course, all Alien movies are not created equal, but you get what I mean. So, take this reaction review, keep that in mind. Now, the first thing that I noticed about this film was just how different the Predators look compared to how they used to. And I won't lie to you guys, I didn't exactly love the new look. It just looked weird to me. Though I can admit that wasn't the biggest issue that I had with this film. Like I said, it's more like a speeding ticket to me, where this was concerned. Now, one of the major things that kind of colored this film, for me was the fact that there was just too much talking by the Predators in general, by the father, by the brother, and ultimately by Deck, who the movie's basically about. And I will admit that when I first saw the trailers in the movies a month or two ago, I was hoping that most of the talking would be handled by Thea, the synth, because in the trailer she talked a lot. But young Deck, it turns out, spent a lot of time in this film talking, and with every word he uttered, it made me less and less intimidated by his prowess as a stone-cold killer. Along with the fact that his own brother and father both thought he was the weakest link, something that I felt weakened the mystique surrounding the young Predator before the film ever got started. I think they doomed him out of the gate by just basically going, you're not him. And this is the guy you want us to follow and watch him become him. But I would contend that what makes the Predator movies work is that the Predators are already him. See where I'm going? And keep in mind that historically the Predators have been creatures of very few words, right? They show up on a planet, they hunt down beings that they deem to be at least as strong as they are, sometimes stronger, and then they kill them or they die trying. They're all about that action, no talk. And though this film did have plenty of action sequences, one or two of them ridiculous, some of them really cool though. The fact that we spend most of the film being made to contemplate Deck and his family drama was, I thought personally, a bridge too far wherein the film's dialogue was concerned. Now, from a macro sense, I do get what the writers were trying to do here. They're trying to update the Predator franchise. And in doing so, they made a valiant effort at using an established action franchise, one that's typically about, the hunt, right? Honorable versus dishonorable combat, right? The Predators believe in kind of, I got my weapons and everything, but it's me against you. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. And may the best man win. A survival of the fittest axiom, right? Is usually what these films kind of subscribe to. But the writers used this film franchise to tell a more modern story about the corporate exploitation of nature. Something I kind of felt like had no real use in this particular film franchise, especially, again, given, the films historically speaking. The cost of technology, again, something that I didn't think belonged in this film, acceptance and chosen family over your inherited one. Again, something that I was just like, I didn't come to watch a family drama, Now, if I squint really hard, though, I can even get myself to a place where I can respect what the writers intended. But this was the biggest beef I had with the movie, right? It's thematic choices. And I just don't think they worked in this particular film, again, mostly because of what this film franchise has been historically, right? This isn't what fans of the previous film come to the theater to watch. We come to see the Predators do work, right? Not whine about their home life. I'm just saying, right? And, again, there are other sci-fi films that take a look at these things, but the Predator franchise typically has not been one of them, right? Now, I did think it was an interesting narrative move to involve Weyland-Yutani in this film and in this storyline, thus crossing over the Alien and Predator films in a way that was different than what it was when we got Alien vs. Predator 20 years ago. That was a film where it was just the aliens against the Predators, right? And again, let's see, who comes out on top. Here, they merged the films narratively. And again, I thought that was interesting. And again, I didn't necessarily love it, but given the writer's thematic choices here, I guess, it fit in with what they were trying to do, even though, like I said, I didn't like it. Now, even though there weren't very many characters in the film, the actors that were present, I thought did a fine job. I thought the directing was fine, as was the production design. This super, faraway planet, it looked gorgeous and beautiful, even though it was covered with things that could murder the hell out of you. And that's the point, right? And ultimately, I thought the film's runtime was right there in the sweet spot. I always tell you guys, with stuff like this, it shouldn't go past 2 hours. And this film, stayed true to that. But speaking of the film's runtime, I had a huge problem with the way this movie ended, mostly because once you see the ending, you sit back and think for a second and you realize that the hunt we spent almost 2 hours watching was pointless from a narrative perspective, right? It might have been great for, some kicks and some CGI special effects, and we're going to watch this Predator kill some things, and we're going to watch some things try to kill it, and back and forth and so on and so on. But narratively speaking, you go, if this is how the movie was going to end, then what the fuck was the purpose of the hunt? We could have done without the hunt. We could have just got straight to the ending. You see what I'm saying? And to make matters worse, it looks as though the writers have perfectly set this film up for a sequel to basically continue this story. And though I can understand the impulse from a financial standpoint, this decision made me like this film even less than I already did. Now, overall, I'd give this movie a 65% or a 6.5 out of 10 if you're thinking IMDb score. And we'll go with a C- here rather than a D+ for a grade, just because there were a multitude of things that I did think worked fairly well in the movie. It's the narrative shortcomings that really, cheesed me off, if you will. So look, guys, right now this film has pretty high scores on the aggregates, and from what I could tell, it'll probably make it through the weekend with fairly high scores. And there are certainly elements of this film that work just fine, I will admit. And again, I'll say what ruined this movie for me was the fact that I just lost a lot of healthy fear of the Predator as a species in this movie. And moving forward, due to the fact that the writers just tried way too hard to humanize Deck. And I don't want to see a human Predator, right? And this is not unlike what just happened a month or two ago with the Alien Earth series on FX. It was a show that ruined the Xenomorph for me. Again, because the writers tried to turn the Xenomorphs into pets instead of pure, unadulterated killing machines that used to be the stuff of nightmares. I would put the Predators in that same category. And after watching this film, I'm sorry to say I'll never quite look at them the same again. But then again, maybe that's the filmmaker's point, right? Now, my point is that this movie may work just fine as an action-adventure film with sci-fi elements for people who are new to the franchise. But if you're someone who's old enough to have been watching the Predator movies when Arnold Schwarzenegger uttered the iconic phrase, "What the hell are you?" almost 40 years ago, then you may walk out of the theater just as I did, thoroughly disappointed. But what do you guys think? Have you had a chance to get to the theater to see Predator Badlands yet? If you have, what did you think about how different the Predators look than they did in previous films? What did you think about the Predators being so damn talkative in this movie? And what did you think about the film's themes as they were presented in this particular story? Let me know in the comments. And for those of you that might be new to the channel, be sure to like and share this video. If you really like the content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. You can also now support the channel by leaving a super thanks. If you should be so inclined, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, feel free to subscribe to my new Shorts channel and Reaction channel for additional content. The links are in the description. In addition to that, be sure to go and check out themaskscreenwriter.com for more television and film reviews and info on my upcoming film projects. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got screenplays to write. And I'll catch y'all on the next video.